My study of theology really is rooted in an experience I had in my early 20s. I had just graduated from college and I went to a Christian college, but I still was unsure of the fullness of the gospel or what it meant to study scripture. And I was so hungry, but my local church wasn't able to really help me in that. And so I went to try to go to different churches and try to find different books. And I ended up at seminary because that was the best place I felt to go and study scripture. But really, I just wanted to know, why does all of this matter? What's the big deal about the gospel? How does it relate to people's everyday life? Because when I was in my early 20s, I was serving in a ministry with people who had problems that were really big. And they needed to understand why the gospel could affect them in seasons of suffering that wouldn't change after they left my Sunday school class. And so that desire, wanting to help the people I was serving, and wanting to understand it myself, understand why does all of this matter, sent me on a journey to learn theology. And the path I chose, it's not necessarily the only path you can take, but the path I chose was to go to seminary. And so years after graduating from seminary and working in vocational ministry, how do I use theology on an everyday basis? I really use it to do a few things. One, to remind me of who God is on a daily basis. And it remind me that God is loving and that He's kind, He's faithful. To remind me that no matter what happens, whether there are seasons of suffering with my family or different friends, that God is faithful. It kind of sets me straight in all of the chaos that's happening in the world. And it gives me rooting for my identity and my purpose. And so when I might be confused about, Lord, what's going on in my life? What are you doing? I'm reading through scripture and I'm reading through the story of scripture and I'm seeing that God has a plan for my life. And His plan for my life is connected to the purpose that He gave humanity at the very beginning. And I'm here to help people learn who God is and to love Him more. And so that centers me, it gets me right when I'm off course, and it helps me remember the things that are true even when they don't feel like they're true. And so for me, my study of theology is getting in the Word every day and just rehearsing the story of Scripture. And then at those moments I set aside to study and do the deep dives, I'm able to remind myself of why the gospel matters in the first place.